So when we look at the property management as an overall solution, right, it is the accounts receivable function. It's where I call turning the crank. It's doing the billing, handling the cash receipts, everything you want from a complete AR type scenario. And then that, of course, is handshaking into that multi-entity intercompany accounting system. That's really a big deal from that perspective. Development, yes, the construction development functionality Acumatica plays really well to a pure developer, but also to a property management company. They have tenant improvement projects. Okay, they have renovation projects. They have to track those. They bring Nike in as a new tenant. They could be a $40,000 concession on a tenant improvement. There's a budget. There's cost codes. There's costs. There's contracts, right? Sometimes they have to have a contract and they want to track that. So property management is also dealing with the improvement and maintenance and repairs. So doing the construction aspect besides just being a servicing developer. We talked about the properties. Usually you have properties that will be one-to-one, one property, one LLC, or you could have three properties that roll up into one LLC. So it could be, a strip center with an out parcel and a medical complex. That's all, under one LLC, but it's three different properties. You have, again, very strong portfolio and roll-up reporting inside Acumatica. Now, when we talk about the data side of it, there's the tenant, information about the tenant, the leases, and the whole idea is to take that 2-page, 10-page lease document, abstract it, get it in the system one time. So that way you can run reports, you have query, etc. So this is a tenant management system. It's a lease management system because it's going to track all of the escalators in the lease. If it's a multi-year lease, you have scheduled charges that change based on date intervals. And then maintenance. We talked a little bit about work orders. So what I want to do here is, okay, perfect. All right. So what we want to do is kind of, do a visual, kind of tell a story here. If you're seeing Acumatica for the first time, they're really big on dashboards. And, this is the fruits of your labor. This is where all of your data has been put into the system. You've turned the crank. And you want that real-time visibility. And again, you don't have to tap people on shoulders. You don't have to have somebody create a custom report. So, Sprinterra and Anton Systems have kind of put in a lot of some KPIs, some of the key things. But understand that anything you see here is configurable by the user. There's some that come best practices already, but you'll be taught how to fish to change colors, change however you'd like this to look. It's a very key feature that gives the empowerment, to you. So I'm going to just briefly kind of go through the food groups here. This is tying into your accounting. So, if you're a property manager, owner type person, you might want this kind of visibility. Here are your leases that are expiring. Here are some open work orders and their statuses. Here's lease options that are coming up. In this case, there's no insurances, so we have full compliance tracking for insurance tracking. Here are upcoming scheduled rent increases. Here's your open AR, open AP. Again, everything in Acumatica is drillable. So wherever you see a hyperlink, yeah, you're able to drill down. You don't have to go to a different menu. And just continuing, you got, bills to approve. So Acumatica has got a big feature here for review and approval. And that's a big deal in the property management space that property managers, because they're budget driven, need to have some visibility to review invoices before they get paid and compare them against budgets and those types of things. So that's just, kind of an idea of what you're able to get out of the system visually. Here is what we call the property management module. On the left-hand side, these are the modules that are in Acumatica. If you're already using it, then you know what these mean. If you're looking at Acumatica for the first time, this is where your receivables, your payables, your general ledger, your checkbook, and cash book and all that stuff. These are the entry points. So this is the entry point to property management. Everything you see here is all functionality that's built into the core system. And the best way to illustrate what property management is from a data perspective, I call it the three-legged stool. There's three areas of data is the most important that must get populated in order to be able to run the system for processing. The first is property. So you want the ability to set up the property, and this could be the building, it could be, a building with multiple units, but you define what your properties are. You have different types, so you can differentiate commercial, residential, retail, industrial. So you can, large portfolios can do groupings. Just like in Acumatica, you can move your columns, you can add columns. But we're going to focus here just on the data object. So at the Flagler object here, this is the user interface that says, okay, I want to look at Flagler. I want to look at as much as possible on all the information that pertains to this particular property. So we have fields, and you have the ability to move fields, and there's a number of configurations that you do, but this is more of the best practice out of box, right? Here's your information. A lot of, again, data. A lot of things that people are keeping in post-it notes in other disparate systems. Make it as centralized as possible. In Acumatica, everything can be locked at the field level for security purposes. So have the peace of mind that you can track who can only add, change, or delete. You can, track who has access to these tabs, etc. So quickly, property attributes. In Acumatica, you can create your own user-definable fields. And when you create these fields, they're automatically available for reports, inquiries, and even interrogation using the new AI technology coming out early next year. So this enhances the ability to make sure every key data point is in your database. This now associates the the spaces that go into this property. And again, you can differentiate and track certain information here and tell you its occupant. I can actually click through, and I can actually look at the lease that's tied to this. And this is a really nice feature because I don't have to go to a different menu. I can stay right here and go, okay, let's go look at this lease. So now this is another data point, right? Is the data about the lease, the data about your tenant. So here again, it's going to pre-fill some of the key information. Here's a summary. So we got Sally and we got lease terms. Notice all the critical dates are here, very important. Base rent, recovery charges, escalations and recovery type things. If you want to do some industry tracking, in some cases when you're doing corporate real estate or anchor type tracking, you want to be able to pull your leases. Renewal statuses. Again, this is alerts and notifications. Let the system proactively give you 30, 60, 90-day warning on renewals. Those of you that may have, it's kind of not as much as it used to be, but there are certain types of leases that are paid based on their sales. Usually liquor sales has one percentage, soft goods has a different, but it has that ability. Miscellaneous notes, great for a note taker. Who are the individual contacts that are at this for this lease? Again, here's your critical data information that you can update, add, change, right? Any lease date details you want.
Michael,
Security.
can you reshare that rows on the lease history? Perfect. We're back with you.
Okay. So you have a security deposit and then the space. And again, I could have a lease for multiple spaces. So in this case, this is a one-to-one, information about that. And again, see, I could drill down and go back to the property. You have that capability. This is what we call your charge schedule. So you would define your charge or your income, and this ties to your AR. So that's your income charges and, billing date and, et cetera, et cetera. If I want to look at the space, I can do that. If I want to look at the schedule, like for example, here's their schedule all built out. So you're able to see that. Expense recovery. big deal, being able to handle expenses and recover, and I'll show you something related to that in a minute. And then late charges, where you can define the late charges, based on the lease. You have the ability to attach files, full document management is available to you. And then there's also a notes tab, little scratch pad, good place to keep notes. These are available throughout the Acumatica platform. So wherever there's a data object, you can add notes, activities, and files, which is really nice to have. The other area that's nice is activity management. So this kind of gives you a little bit of ability where property managers could create internal notifications or external, where they could externally send an email to a tenant or send it to a contractor or however. So this really opens up the communication capability and assignments. And then you can have a dashboard that shows, hey, here are all of Mary's tasks that she has to do. If you don't know already, Acumatica has a mobile app. So Acumatica plays nice where, alerts, notifications, and those types of things will be available to you through the Acumatica platform from that perspective. All right, so we basically highlighted what we call properties, units, and leases. That once that database is built up. Let's go ahead and look at a particular lease here and a couple other attributes. I'm going to look at lease, I think it was on my second screen here. 0, 0. No, I had it right here. Here it is. Here too, you can do filters to filter your columns.
We're stuck back on lease 11 again, Michael. Okay, with you on lease 3.
Okay. I'm going to turn off my camera to see if it helps on bandwidth. Okay. All right. So here on this lease, I want to just kind of show a couple items. In in the expense recovery area, you would define your different types of pools, percentage recoverable. You can do a calculation, so it will go and do the data dip into GL. You can bring back estimated numbers. You can also adjust your periods. So we don't have time in today's session, but the point we're trying to make here is that all of the data elements are defined here, and then it's doing the handshaking to the general ledger to bring in the expenses, and it's then handshaking to the ledger record as to what their pro rata share that they've been making each month, so you can then reconcile at the end of the year. So if that's a recovery issue, or it could just be a straight CPI, then you put in the CPI number, etc. And once this generates that calculation, you can then generate a single page statement that, and if you give me 1 second, I just can see if I still have it here. No, I don't have it here. Anyway, I wanted to quickly show, but you have the ability to generate a single page document that will show the breakdown of the current situation, what the escalation charges are, what their new billing rate is, and if there has to be any type of debit or credit to what was already paid. So a really nice feature, from that perspective. All right, so to move on quickly here, there are within the software ability to have different type of lease templates. This helps you to quickly, help build your database. You have a commercial template, a residential template type of scenario. You have the ability to generate a lot of different reports. As with any report in Acumatica, it's all designed around being able to run the report, save it, edit reports. Let's see here. Oh, here's I forgot the one I had here. Let's go. So in this case, when the report is generated, you can print it, say print it to a PDF, print the actual document. You can send it. And Acumatica has a workflow engine where you actually could say, at the 15th of the month, end of the month, end of the quarter, take certain reports and package them and automatically send them out. Maybe send them out to the property manager, send it out to the asset manager. So this is a really nice feature here. And as in Acumatica, everything that's in the system can be dropped into an Excel. And in some cases, there are some pre-made pivot tables. In many of the reports, you do have the ability to drill down with them as well. And this is pretty much native, throughout their product. So in the few minutes that I have here, just to touch on, there are areas of the reporting, which is very powerful. There's also the work orders, being able to create work orders. This is usually a really nice feature to have that not only are you creating the work orders, you can track charges to the work order, miscellaneous information, pictures, attachments. Here too, you can have customized fields. So if you were to maybe track, something at an asset level, in this, you can do that as well. Who do you want to contact? And then the activities, all the meetings that took place. You could create a task to assign this out to somebody. You could generate an email, etc. So pretty robust from a work order reporting. I mentioned earlier that the work order could then either just be expensed out, or you could bill back the owner, or you may bill back the tenant. That full integration is there as well. So in 1,000 words or less here, there's a lot of functionality to the product as far as database collection, the full billing and cash receipt capability. I just want to note, as far as tenant payments, Acumatica has a great feature called Click to Pay. So when you generate an invoice, there can be a link where your tenant can go directly and make the payment. And that just expedites payment to you, payment to your bank. There's a lot of things done under the hood to help expedite that. We find that that's very popular on the commercial side. Yes, they can send you a check. Yes, you can receive an ACH, but for them to do a click and pay, and pay by credit card or however they want to pay, that's great. So that's a nice little feature built into the product. Also available is a tenant portal. So if you're looking for a tenant portal where the tenant goes in, creates the payment, looks at their history, creates a work order, we do have that capability through our tenant portal as well. So hopefully we've given you enough information, both as someone that wants to enter the market to provide selling this product and servicing it, or if you're a current prospect looking for property management and Acumatica, or you have Acumatica and would like to add property management, we would love to continue the conversation with you. Thank you, Garrett.
All right. Thank you, Michael. I know we're close on time. There's just a couple last minute things that I'm going to run through, and then we'll be all set. So one thing I wanted to touch on is, you may have noticed a little sneak peek in Michael's demo, but there was a tab down there regarding our AI assistant that we've built. So we won't go too deep into this because this is probably worthy of its own demo in and of itself. But essentially, all the core areas of our solution, when you look at lease management, you look at work orders, legal compliance, charges, rent tracking, all these different areas, we've built an AI assistant which can assess all of that data in an instant and answer questions that you have about each of those specific areas. So again, that may be something that we can schedule a follow-up with you to go into detail on, but that's something that we have included in the product as well, is a pretty robust AI assistant for you. All right, again, we really appreciate your time today. If you have any questions in the future, please feel free to reach out to us. I've got my email here for you.